Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this special meeting of the Bennington Select Board. My name is Tom Haley. I have the honor of chairing this board. A little bit different from usual this evening. We are going to move quickly into executive session, and then we will return and move right into item number 2 on our agenda. So could I please have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
A second?
Second?
Let's wait until the minutes taker. Where'd she go? Oh, she left too. Okay.
Oh, okay.
You're in charge of minutes for executive session.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We should probably add why, right?
Yes.
Oh, yes, executive session for pending or probable civil litigation. Thank you, Jim.
Aye.
All right, aye. Thank you very much. We'll be back very shortly. Thanks. Could I please have a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Welcome back, everyone. We'll now move on to item 2 on our agenda, which we'll be discussing an open meeting law complaint regarding discussions alleged to have occurred while we met to discuss potential candidates for our boards and commissions. It's been alleged, basically, that we discussed items around CPARB and changes in CPARB's charge and so forth. So that's what we're here to discuss this evening. Thanks. Who would like to kick it off?
Sure. I did a little bit of sort of digging and research, brushing up on open meeting law. Had a conversation with the municipal, what is it, the MAC, the Municipal Advisory Center or something through VLCT. And based on that, Dan's handing out some information that I asked him to print off for us. It includes some sections of the Vermont statutes online, VLCT's guidance on how to respond to an open meeting law violation complaint, and just some supporting documentation, basically board minutes from several meetings that we should all be familiar with. Just for me, sometimes it's helpful to just have something kind of in writing in front of us to look at and discuss.
So I was not present, but can I just establish that my understanding is that at those meetings where appointments for boards and commissions were discussed, they were in executive session because they were personnel in nature, and that is a common practice, if I'm not mistaken, and we've done that since my time on this board.
That's correct. That's how these interviews have been conducted since before you were on this board, before I was on this board,
Yep.
for as long as I'm aware of.
Okay, so I just want to establish that I understood it properly. Thank you.
Okay, so, go ahead. Did you have something?
No, I'll just point out that the specific statute that provides authorization for the executive session that we had was 1 VSA 313.3, which says the appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee, provided that the public body shall make a final decision to hire or appoint a public officer or employee in an open meeting, and shall explain the reasons for its final decision during the open meeting.
Thanks. Essentially, I mean, there's a lot here in the letter that we're responding to. Really, the only item that's under discussion here is whether or not we discussed the future direction of the Police Advisory Board in executive session. I am quoted in here as saying that we had hours of discussion on the future direction of CPARB in executive session, and I did not actually tell her that. I did say that we spent hours of discussion on the candidates for the various open positions, but we did not, in my recollection, discuss the direction of CPARB in any way, shape, or form beyond who would be seated in those two positions.
For full disclosure, so the discussions about the candidates for a couple of the positions went on for quite some time. In fact, I had to leave and went on vacation before the board reconvened to finish their deliberations on the candidates. And so I can't definitively speak about what happened when I wasn't there. So, all I can say is that while I was there, the only thing that was discussed was the qualifications and backgrounds of the candidates.
I will say that we were we had an incredible number of qualified applicants for these positions this year, which really we're grateful for, because it's kind of unprecedented that we had so many good candidates for two positions, and it was an incredibly difficult decision. And I think when I told her about how long it took, I was trying to make it clear to her that we didn't come to a snap judgment around who we were going to pick for this. We put a lot of thought and effort into that, and I'm afraid she misinterpreted what I was trying to say.
I think Clark has something, and then I have a comment.
Hi, good evening. Just to second what Tom had to say here, we spent a significant amount of time evaluating each candidate in detail. And it was very difficult. Actually, it's even worse because I was in New Mexico on Zoom trying to do this. So I do not recall any discussion of how these boards would function in the future or our expectations for these boards functioning. Everything that I recall focused on the candidates qualifications, and that I can't go much past that as to what we discussed specifically, but there was no discussion of policies or direction or programs to the best of my recollection.
And this is just an experience confirmation for me. If any question came up regarding future direction, structure, et cetera, that would have gone at the next charter review, because it would have had to be done in that format, if I am not mistaken. And so the idea that the board could have had those discussions with the intention of making any of the alleged discussed changes doesn't compute to me, because this board doesn't handle those things. It goes through a charter review process. So that's just for the record.
Jim?
And yeah, I have to be very careful with this one, because I can characterize something from that executive session, I think, without stating the discussion. But one of the candidates for one of the positions themselves brought up the question of whether that particular board that they were interested in serving on should continue to exist. And that was the only discussion I recall about that, and it came from a candidate. It didn't come from the board.
When she was called, was she told that we discussed the CPARB going in a different direction in the future?
What I said was I thanked her for applying for a second time. I was specifically talking about her candidacy, that we decided to go in a different direction in terms of personnel.
That's a common personnel term, by the way, just to support Tom. I use it all the time. There's a pool of candidates. When I hire people, I let the folks that were not selected know that the hiring committee, the board, the executive, whoever was making the decision, had gone in a different direction.
May I?
Sarah?
So I can see this from both sides. And being in this discussion in executive session, I did not feel that there were any inappropriate discussions, but from the wording that you used, which is very textbook personnel language, I can see how that might feel that the board may be going a different direction, which from the sessions that we had was inaccurate, and there was no inappropriate discussion had on that front. But I can see how that might have been misconstrued by the wording used. But it was that's textbook personnel talk.
Yeah. And she did immediately start talking back to me. And I'm not sure at that point, whether she was really hearing me. So she was a little bit, she was disappointed not to have been reappointed, and she expressed that very clearly. And I heard her out, and, here we are today. So, but again, that's what I said. I said we as a board decided to go in a different direction in regards to the candidates.
When I'm reading, I'm not sure that she's referencing it was said in executive session. Isn't she talking about a different meeting, public meeting? All CPARB members wanted the board disbanded. She's referencing that from a different meeting, correct?
That's entirely possible, but the only thing, for the purposes of this particular meeting, the only thing that I can see in this complaint statement, I'm not sure exactly what it is around the executive session. It is in that paragraph. I think she's trying to use it to maybe back up what she was trying to allege here, or is alleging. But, I mean, that's not really relevant to the discussion we're having now.
Well, I think if I'm understanding it, reading it correctly, she's using that from a prior meeting.
Right, there's nothing, I mean, what she is saying there was she says was said in a prior meeting, yes. In a prior.
Just for clarity, we're addressing what is alleged to have taken place in the executive session that you all had, not in any prior
But
meeting.
I'm still not clear if she was told, Tom said, in a different direction. I don't know if I just want it clarified. Was she told we wanted the CPARB to go in a different direction?
I absolutely did not say that.
Okay.
And I'll jump in to say, because I'm the person that quote is attributed to, I did not say that. I don't ever recall saying that. But regardless, whether I did or did not say that, whether I have personal opinions that align with that or don't, that's irrelevant. My understanding, what's relevant is whether that was discussed in the executive session.
Does anyone have anything else?
I just honed in the word, the phrase, these deliberations should have occurred in a properly warned open meeting. That's a contradiction. We had an executive session for the purpose of a personnel action, which is completely well within the constraints and limits of executive session, and anything in an open meeting isn't germane to the executive session. So,
Just for clarity, it was a conversation about personnel, not action against personnel, regarding personnel. Action was taken in the meeting that we had where we made the appointments in public.
It's the exact same process that was used when the individual was appointed in the first place. There's absolutely no difference between what happened this past time with what happened 2 or 3 years ago when she was first appointed.
So at this time, I'd like to make a motion that this board finds that there was no violation of open meeting law, and as such, no cure is necessary.
Have a second?
So Tom,
We don't
could I suggest a point of order that before you make a motion? Could I suggest a point of order that before you make a motion in the second, that would then foreclose public discussion, that we give the public an opportunity to make comment?
I'll withdraw my motion.
Fair point. Does anyone from the public wish to comment at this point? Back.
Thank you for attempting to clarify what you said. I feel like you tried to portray me a little bit as maybe a little irrational on the call when we were talking, but it was a rather lengthy call, and I did interpret it that you had told me that you had been, the board had discussed for several hours the direction of CPARB, not the candidates, not the personnel. That was the distinct impression I had after getting off of the phone with you. I don't want to speak for Scott Richmond, but I would suggest if people have questions that they would reach out and ask him for his thoughts. And I did ask about the direction of the board because of some of the comments that were made. And Ed, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Jackie, if there are to be changes to CPARB and you're going to maybe disband it, I don't believe you need to wait until the next charter review in 5 years. That can be brought up at any time. That's what we were told when we went through the resolution in January. So I wish the new members well. I hope that you collaborate with the police department. I'm not sure with some of the recent appointments that that's going to be the case, but I do hope that you remember that we need to work with them and with community policing, and not in an adversarial way where we're excluding them from being in the CPARB meetings or excluding them from participating in other things. I mean, they don't participate in CPARB's listening sessions. They participated as a panelist in the forum. But I encourage you to remember that people who do support the police department are also part of this community. They may not be the loudest voice, but they're certainly there, and they will be there for a long time. So thank you for clarifying. That was not my takeaway, but thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly. Anyone else? All right. Then we'd like to restate the motion, please.
At this time, I move that this board finds that there was no violation of open meeting law in connection with the executive sessions for personnel appointments to boards and commissions, and as such, no cure is necessary.
Have a second? Clark, thank you. All in agreement or in favor? Oh, yeah, I guess we should have further discussion. Go ahead, Sarah.
I just wanted to note that, of course, 4 o'clock meetings throw me off, sorry. I just wanted to note that I did not hear any inappropriate discussion during our executive session, so just wanted to put that on the record, and I felt that everything went as has been since I'm the longest serving board member, not the oldest. Since I'm the longest, sorry. Since I'm the longest serving board member, everything had been as has in the past.
Does anyone add anything else?
I do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nancy.
I think we need to definitely get the CPARB on an agenda so we are all clear what we want the CPARB to be doing going forward.
Thank you. Clark?
Hi, I agree with you, Nancy, and I had a conversation, gave some documents to our chair, requesting, in fact, CPARB become an agenda item for a very soon meeting. So yes, as a liaison and as a board member, I think it's important that some issues be clarified and codified in official policy.
Jackie?
I guess along those lines, and responding to some of the public comment that we just had, I do believe CPARB has a vital role in our municipal process. I think it's appropriate to say that CPARB was created by the Select Board, not through the charter. And before I was a member of this board, I was a member of the Charter Review Committee, and CPARB had expressed to us that they thought it was inappropriate for CPARB to appear in our town charter. And the Charter Review Committee took that concern seriously, and the amendment that we recommended to the charter did not specifically name CPARB for that reason. I've never advocated for CPARB to be disbanded. That is not my position.
I can add that I've not heard any suggestion that CPARB be disbanded from anyone on this board or from really anyone in the public in a very serious fashion. They definitely, I think, serve a very vital public function, and there are no plans to disband them that I am aware of, and I'm pretty sure I would probably be aware of them. So, anyone else?
Just
Nancy?
one last thing. When we add the CPARB to an agenda, we need to add the police department. We've been short, I believe, about 6 officers for I don't know how many years, and I think the priority is we get our police department staffed, and I think it's pretty clear to do that. We're going to have to pay officers more. So we have to work to try to get our police department staffed.
Okay, but we are getting a little bit off topic, but I
Well,
appreciate what you're saying, and I
Police
don't
department-
disagree with you.
I mean, I don't think we've had the priority we should have had over the past year.
Right. All All right, so we have a motion on the floor and a second. Is any more discussion? All right, then I will call the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And opposed? And any abstentions? And we are unanimous. Thank
No,
you.
we aren't. No,
Oh,
I'm
I'm sorry, one abstention from Ed, who was not
I'm an
there.
abstention, but I heard Sarah's comment about age. I just want that on the record, and I think she was talking about me, and I accept. I was not present. I'm abstaining, guys. Thank you.
I had to look somewhere. No, it didn't matter.
All right, and it is unusual that we would discuss liquor licenses, but there are a number of folks that need their liquor licenses renewed and/or started. Since we are having a special meeting anyway, we thought it was appropriate. And could I please have a motion to accept the liquor licenses that have been presented?
I make that motion.
All right, any
Second.
seconds? All right, any discussion?
Yep.
Nancy?
Some of these are existing businesses. Are their licenses still valid?
They're renewing them.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so they won't run out before the next regular meeting?
Actually, they will, which is why we went ahead and put them on this special meeting. It is not our practice. It is not our practice to have a special meeting just for liquor licenses, but since there was a special meeting, we did include them on this one.
I was actually approached before this meeting was scheduled about those, and my answer was, no, we're not going to have a special meeting just
But
for liquor
I
licenses.
know over the years, the Select Board, 4 people have gotten together for a quick 5-minute special meeting to do this. If we're not going to do this anymore, I hope there isn't a big event in Bennington where somebody realizes 2 days before they don't have their license, and the board's going to say, sorry, no special event, so.
Yeah.
So I can respond. I know that Tom has talked to the clerk, too. Folks whose liquor licenses are expiring, they start getting notices back in January. So they have many months of notice before they expire. For whatever reason, some folks don't heed those, but it is not, I will say, a business owner should have plenty of notice and have plenty of time to get their liquor license renewed.
But so we're not going to make exceptions in the future, as has been done in the past?
I can't speak for the board, but I know that that's
Okay.
Tom's position.
Yeah, I would say that these folks got lucky that we're having a meeting
No,
today.
I know, but Murphy's Law, there could be a big event, and somebody says, and it's like, nope, sorry, we don't make exceptions anymore. That's,
I think deadlines are there for a reason. I think business owners should be able to keep track of their licenses, because they're important. I mean, having a liquor license is a responsibility, and one of those responsibilities is keeping track of whether or not it's valid, I think.
I just want to be consistent.
So I agree with you, Nancy, and I did talk to the clerk, and Cassie said they get their first notification when their license is coming due 120 days before it comes due, so there should be sufficient time for people to get their licenses
No, I
done.
mean, I can understand the deadline, but I know over the years, there were many times 4 people got together for that quick 5-minute meeting, so.
Yeah, I am a bit of a stickler for deadlines, and I think if their deadlines are not going to be adhered to, then why have them at all?
So
But
if any business owners are watching your licenses, renew them.
so,
Tom,
okay.
look this way.
Yep, I'm sorry, Clark.
Hi. In keeping with Nancy's concerns, one of my concerns is transparency and everyone being treated the same. So I think it's important that we stress to these people who we've done this for that this is an exception to policy that will be rarely granted. I think we need to make that quite clear, that it's not something where, and I realize it's their business, their livelihood, but if they don't care enough to get their licenses reapplied in a timely manner, they shouldn't expect the town governance to bend the rules or be flexible to accommodate them. And Nancy's right, yeah, we plan events, and there's Murphy's Law, and I think that's different from an established business being told 4 months ago they need to have their license renewed, and then getting right down to the line and saying, please, please, please. So and my concern is if we do it for one, we're obliged to do it for everyone consistently. And as you said, why have deadlines if we're not going to stick with them?
Yep, we've made it perfectly clear, if we weren't already having a special meeting, we wouldn't be having a meeting about liquor licenses. Ed?
I just have one comment that's very similar to the others. When you call this, I'm going to vote yes, because to vote any other way, in my opinion, would be punitive, and I don't want to do that. to any of these applicants. I think that, and I can't speak for the way the rest of the board feels about that, but I think that it's a bad practice, and I am only going to vote yes because it would be punitive not to. I think the public has to hear, at least me, that I am voting yes against my better judgment because I believe in deadlines and the order of the way our government works.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Well, you know, whether it's a private business or a special event, as somebody said, liquor licenses are a responsibility, so if that vendor with the big special event 2 days doesn't have their license, you know, we're going to say, sorry, no exceptions, so, okay.
All right. Anyone else? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. All right, we have need for another executive session to discuss personnel. So we will not be taking action following this session. Could I have a motion to go into executive session, please?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Thanks, folks, for coming out tonight.